If you want to make 2026 your year, then this is the perfect episode you could have clicked on. The one mindset shift that you need to make to change 2026, to make it your year, to show up better, to have more motivation, is all around the work of energy. Because my guest today, Michele Phillips, will show you exactly what you need to stop doing, how you need to stop setting your goals to achieve success in life, and how you need to start showing up in 2026 to get it right, to become more productive, to get everything done quicker, and be more happy. When this time comes next year, you're gonna be nodding to yourself, and you're gonna be so proud of everything that you got to accomplish. So without further ado, I'm Sonia, you're listening to the SMARTA Podcast, and it's your time to get smarter. Before we begin, I just wanted to ask you a personal favor that can help make this podcast even better, to give you better guests, better lineup of speakers, and better information to help you really achieve your dream life. If you can just double check that you're subscribed to this YouTube channel and that you're following this show, and rate this episode 5 stars. And in return, I promise you that I'll do my best to keep posting here Monday motivation for you that is gonna help you, give you practical habits and tips to make your life better. Here we go. Hey, it's Sonia, and welcome to the SMARTA Podcast. Michele Phillips, are you ready to get smarter?
I am ready to get smarter. Let's go.
Great, because your work sits at the intersection of emotional intelligence, energy, and leadership. Where I wanted to kick off with is, if you can talk directly with a person listening right now, what would you say are the top 3 most important things you won't want the listener to miss?
Yeah. You have more power than you think. Most people give their power away. Our emotions are beautiful, all of them, even the ones we don't like, but they're just guidance. And when you learn to guide your emotions, you will just have so much relief and beautiful energy in your body.
Today's guest is someone who has spent over 25 years helping leaders unlock their potential, not by doing more, but by becoming more intentional about the energy that they bring into the room. Michele Phillips is the president and founder of Key Performance, a leadership and performance consultancy that is dedicated to increasing happiness, clarity, and results at work. Her journey began all the way back in 1997 when she wrote her first outcome in a journal, a moment that changed the direction of her life and sparked that mission that she continues to live every single day of her life now. Michele has worked with CEOs, senior leaders, managers, and teams across industries ranging from pharma and finance to manufacturing, life sciences, and fashion. Her clients include global organizations such as Goldman Sachs, Pfizer, Verizon, Tag Heuer, Stella McCartney, and Coach. Whether she's in a Fortune 500 boardroom or on a factory floor, Michele helps people understand and master that energy that they bring into their work, turning stress into strength, conflict into clarity, and intention into results. Now, she's a certified positive psychology practitioner with a master's degree in organizational development from Fordham University, and Michele blends neuroscience, psychology, habits, and what she calls energy rules into practical frameworks that leaders can actually use. She's also the best-selling author of Happiness is a Habit and the host of Write Your Outcome podcast, where she continues to inspire individuals to lead with presence, power, and authenticity. Here's her. And so, why don't we start with your first book, Happiness is a Habit, all the way back in 2013. I think it's so powerful because you emphasize that happiness isn't something that we need to wait for. It's something that we practice. So I want to ask you, Michele, what daily habit has had the biggest impact in your own life?
Oh my gosh, so many. But if I had to name the biggest habit, it's journaling.
Journaling.
Actually, our brains are not set up to think linearly.
Yeah.
Right? They don't think like in an outline ABC. They pop all over the place. And when you write something down, you slow your processor. You engage 4 out of 5 senses because you're talking to yourself, you're seeing, you're hearing, you're kinesthetically moving your hand, and it brings you such clarity. I guarantee you cannot write for an extended period of time and not have an aha moment, learn something, or gain clarity.
And I love that so much because, can I tell you a secret of mine? Well, it's not really a secret, but this year is the first time ever I've started tracking all my accomplishments on a page. So I've got every quarter just like a list of all the things I've accomplished, because I found that it's so easy to get lost in the chaos of every day, having so many thoughts, thinking that you're not advancing or you're not making the progress that you wish you're wanting to. And then it's just so easy to realize that there's this quote that I love, that your ordinary is someone else's extraordinary. And so it's just helped me as well so much. And while I don't do journaling, as in with prompts every day, it's something I do maybe monthly, and it's helped my life as well. So I completely agree with you.
Yeah. So I'll say two things. So I did that, every years ago. Oh my gosh, I had my planner and I would draw a line down and I would write my personal and professional accomplishments because we tend to forget I want everyone to celebrate the little steps. We think it's all about go to the mountain and get the award, but it's about every little step is leading you. So when you look back, Sonia, and you go, wow, look at what I did accomplish this month, it gives you more energy to do it again or to do something different.
Mhm.
As far as journaling goes, I always ask people, try it on for 30 days, and it's your journal, so you make the rules. People think I have to write in it every day, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you don't have to anything. You reach for it when you're called to it. And it might be to purge some negative emotion. It might be because something good happened. It's not a diary. It's not today, when I was little, I write, today Peter said hello to me in the hallway at school, It's not a diary. It's a journal, and it's your sacred place. So you create however you want. And when you get to create how you want to use it, you'll use it more often.
Yeah. And I think you're the first person that made that distinction between a diary and your journal because they're not the same things. And I'm hearing this information for the very first time because I did feel trapped, or I did feel like I did get lost in the sense that a journal is supposed to be something that I got back to every single day, whether it's for my positive or negative emotions. So, with that being said, if someone listening or watching this for the first time sees you, what do you believe is the biggest misunderstanding that people have around happiness and performance?
Yeah, people think, well, two things. People think, I'm always happy, or happy experts. No. You have to feel every single emotion, and every single emotion is beautiful. So you're not happy all the time, but you learn how to navigate your lows. And the other misconception is people believe that happiness comes after achievement. And all the research shows is happiness comes before success. So if you think, oh, once I get married, have the baby, buy the house, get the job, write the book, you'll be miserable. So it's really being able to be happy. Everybody listening right now, being happy. And if not happy, being content where you are right now.
What's one way you navigate your lows in your life?
I navigate my lows in knowing they're temporary. And that's a big relief. I think some people get stuck in the lows, and every thought we have is an electromagnetic unit of energy that collects another thought just like it. So when you start to pay attention to your thoughts, you could spiral them down very quickly, or you could override the spiraling because that's natural. That's our natural fight and flight response. Or you can realize this negative thought is, I call it fake fear. So if I have a negative belief or I feel that twist in my gut and I feel yucky, and I give myself that pause and say, what is going on right now in the moment? I'm sitting at my desk. I'm dressed nice. I'm talking to this beautiful being on the other side of the camera. It's a sunny day. I'm making things up to be anxious about in my brain that aren't happening in the present. So it's fake. Unless someone's bleeding or the building's on fire, I'm making it up. So if I'm making it up, I can make up something new. So if I can catch that thought early before it spirals me down into the doom and gloom and misery, which takes very little time, I say that's a thought I don't want. And that's my Wanda. I will get into that. Wanda is my critic. She is vicious. She is mean to me, but she's really just trying to protect me. Grace is my voice of love and wisdom. And I always say, Wanda, I know you're doing your job because that's my body's job. She's here to protect me. But right now it's a sunny day and we're not going there. So what do you have to say, Grace? So we have these different pieces of our brain and we get to decide which one we engage with.
You just reminded me about something that the other last guest that I've had on, Brianna Silver, said that what you can't name will shame you. So if you name your fear, it's very easy to realize that actually this is not you and it's not something that defines you. It's just something in a temporary moment that you can pause and say, is this a life-threatening event, or is it just the way, our brains haven't developed as much and it's just regular work stress or in the workplace? So I think that idea of naming your fear or naming your positive and negative
Both,
emotions
yeah.
is something I haven't done, but I think this is the moment and time for me to start after the podcast to do. So, yeah.
Yeah, naming. So two things. Naming Wanda. We all have these pieces of, and now this is research. This is brain research. This is not something I made up. Now brain research. Jill Bolte Taylor has a whole book called Whole Mind Living, where she talks about 4 characters in your brain, not just 2. But I've always named the 2, right? The coach and the critic, or the angel and the devil, because they are parts of us. And I have to love Wanda because our fight and flight is meant to keep us safe. So she's always scanning for danger. She's always wanting to keep me safe. But if I listen to her all the time, I never progress. So that's where naming the fear, the shamans have a saying, name it to tame it. If I can say I'm anxious or I'm overwhelmed, once I name it, now I could do something with it. Versus some people get lost and they think the emotion is them. It's just what you're feeling in the moment, and it will pass.
It will pass. And there's the thing that you sort of analogy that just came into my mind as you've been talking. And it's the fact that in order to be a critical thinker, you have to be at the same time your biggest fan and your harshest critic. And I think you can't have success without having both. They sort of go hand in hand. And with this comes the idea of emotional resilience. So that's what I'd like to cover now with you, Michele, because many people, including me, have that sense of feeling pressure or imposter syndrome. So I want to ask you, how can young professionals actually build that emotional resilience when life comes in with those hard bumps along the way?
Yeah, it is a practice, but first of all, it's managing your emotions. I always tell people in my workshops, I work in corporate, 100 companies in the United States, all over the globe, mostly in the United States. And if you're not like lifting bricks all day long and you're you're exhausted at the end of the day, it's because you're not processing your emotions. So when we feel that negative emotion, whether it's fear, anxiety, overwhelm, frustration, most people just stuff it down and they keep going. Stuff it down. And then it's like, it's exhausting you. But if I feel that negative twist in my gut and I go, pause, Michele, what's happening? I'm thinking something negative that isn't even true. And then once I do that and I shift it, it's like the emotion goes away and I'm back into my flow. It's like when you are in alignment, when your mind, your heart, and your gut are in alignment, you're very powerful. But most of us work on adrenaline, not alignment. So when we're going off of adrenaline, we're ignoring our emotions, we don't realize that we're wearing ourselves out. Now, for young people, most of us are addicted at some level to our technology. And what technology has done to us is the more you play a game, the more you engage on social media, the more you work, the more it wants you to engage. It's like, come on, you got so many people are watching your videos, post more videos. Humans don't work like that. We're not machines. So when you're tired, you need to rest. When you're hungry, you need to eat. So it's realizing that we need to have these purposeful breaks, because if we go with that's electronics are literally pinging us and telling us to engage more, and they don't get tired. We do. So knowing that you process your emotions, you're not a computer, and then you play with the energy. I love like telling people just to prove to yourself that when you get up from your desk or walk outside for 5 minutes and smile at the sky, it releases it so much.
Yeah.
So prove it to yourself that you are in control. You are the master of your technology, not the slave.
And it smiles back at you if you smile at the world or at life. If you smile at another person, chances are they'll smile back at you. And that just goes to show, if you can spiral easily down, where it's so easy to look for positives and they will start coming your way. And I'm curious to know your opinion, Michele, because I was in class yesterday and we were talking about Pride and Prejudice, but there was this question that stuck with me about how feelings are transient, because lately so much of my colleagues or the younger society has been starting to name their emotions and define themselves by them. So instead of feeling anxious, I have anxiety. Or instead of, because of this sad moment in my life that just happened, I'm sad for this period of time, I have depression. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, and this is my opinion. When I tell people, because even my clients will say to me, I have ADD. And I say, have you been diagnosed? Because some people do have depression. Some people do have anxiety, and they've been diagnosed. If you have not been diagnosed, do not label yourself. Stop it. And because again, I am sad. I am anxious. I have all those feelings, but they are like, think of, and we have the rumble strips on the side of the road. If you veer off the side of the road, these strips go blah, 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 and they make you realize your car is going off the road.
And they redirect you.
So emotions are similar. When you start, if you're feeling sad and nothing has happened, but you sent yourself down that, oh, what if I don't pass the test? And what if I didn't study? You don't know, that's an unknown. If it's fake fear, those emotions are the rumble strips saying you're going off course. So notice the emotion. I love you. If you're going to feel sad, love your sadness. If you want to cry, have a good cry. I am not telling anyone not to feel, but know that your emotions are temporary. In the research tells us we have 27 emotions an hour, each of us. That's a lot. So you're bouncing. You're going from, our emotions are just, so again, based on your beliefs and your thought process and your label, is this a temporary emotion? And when you start practicing the higher emotions and connecting what brings me into those positive emotions, it's not that the life is going my way. It's not that my boss or my teacher's in a good mood. It's I choose every morning to wake up and be grateful. I choose. This morning it's 26 degrees here in New York. I got up at 5:00. I went to hot yoga, 5:30 yoga class, come home, listen to positive music, whatever it is. So I put things in my life every day that set my course instead of saying, oh, it's too cold, stay in bed, don't get up, feel awful. It's sometimes you have to push yourself a little bit, but then it gets so much easier to do. And you're going to feel good at the end. So it's get up. You are in control of your beliefs, thoughts, which lead to your emotions, which lead to your actions. And when you start steering that, you get better and you live in the higher emotions more often. You dip and you stay up and you're up, 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 and then you dip. Like you said, you don't live in the depression, the sadness. And again, some people are clinically diagnosed, which is different. But for the bulk of us that are just using them as labels, stop it.
Let's talk about energy because I can tell you're very passionate about it.
Yeah.
And your second book that came out this October, Energize Your Happiness, talks about emotions and how they're actually energetic forces. So I want to know, when did you personally realize that energy, not time or talent, was the real performance driver in your life?
Yeah, it's, Ralph Waldo Emerson has a quote, the world belongs to the energetic. And you could be the smartest, most brilliant person on the planet, but if you don't have the energy to do what needs to be done, a lot of people know a lot of things, but then you have to organize it. And energy, so my first book, Happiness is a Habit, dealt with your habits mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And again, based in research, when people do something for themselves, not every day, but on a regular basis, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, they felt better. So I always tease, I say, you could go for a walk in the woods with a loved one and hit all of them. So then when I was practicing my positive habits for years, I started getting these highs because again, Sonia, if you think of energy and emotions, you think of depression as the lowest energy. Someone who's depressed doesn't have the energy to get up, get dressed, and get out of bed. And then you think of the high emotion of love and joy and exuberance. Most of us want to jump from depression to high. So we drug, we drink, we shop, we go on social media. We want something for the quick dopamine hit. But what I learned about energy is if I can walk myself so slowly up the emotional ladder, I'm in control of my happiness, my energy. It's not the quick dopamine hit from a bunch of likes or shopping, buying something, or having a quick drink. So if I'm feeling frustrated or overwhelmed, I name the emotion. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling frustrated or overwhelmed? Well, Michele, you're actually committing to things that you're committing to do something in a time frame that's not realistic. So if I back up and say, what is realistic? and I organize, I have a relief in my body. So if you're working on a paper for school, you're doing something, and I want you to imagine your desk is full of clutter and paper. And the minute you organize all that paper, you feel
So easy
better.
to think.
You didn't do anything yet, but you organize it, and then it gets you a little bit up the rung. And then, okay, now that it's organized, what's a step I'm going to take? Again, celebrate those little steps.
Can I show you something? This
Yes.
year, I wrote, so I have a journal, sort of like a show for the podcast notebook that I use for every discussion. And the first page that I wrote is this of 3 daily wins, exactly what you were talking to me about. I don't know if you can see that. Daily, mental, and physical.
I
And
love
so
it.
I've just been going back to it, reflecting on it daily to see actually, have I been nurturing my soul, my mind, and my body every day or not? And I think it's the first year that I don't even have to reflect or pause and think or actively point
Yeah.
out the moments in my year that went well. I just have the feeling of reassurance that I led a happy year and I was dedicating it to myself professionally and personally.
Yeah, you are, first of all, you are a bright light in the world. You are ahead of your time. But that's the beauty of it, because
Yeah.
once it becomes a habit, habits require no energy.
Mm.
I have not missed a week of working out in 25, 30 years. Unless I'm, unless I'm down with an illness, which I don't get sick either. It's just a habit. I just get up and go and do it, and you feel better. And when you get that result, you go, I am in the reason, not the outside world. And when you're proving that to yourself, I love it. That's the difference. And I read through your questions about your next guest, and it's wisdom versus knowledge. I always say knowledge is when we learn something and we study it in a book. Wisdom is just that full body. You just know it and you don't even need the proof. Like you saying to me, Sonia, I know I've had a good year. I love that.
And actually, when I'm sick or when I just don't feel like myself, the one habit that always gets me out of bed or always makes me feel better is just playing on some nice music and dancing and smiling my way through it. It's not resting in bed or getting more sleep, although that helps me as well. It's actually just having a mindset shift.
And can we talk about the dancing? Because most of us are living in the future or the past.
Yeah.
So that dancing is like, you could just swim in your own beautiful emotions on a dance floor, and you're in the moment. And when you're in the moment, Wanda is silent. When you're in the moment, your inner critic shuts up because you're just in the moment. So any activity you could do, whether it's hiking or dancing or meditation is now a $5 billion industry, all set on making us quiet our brain. But you do the same thing with dancing. You're doing it.
Is meditation really a $5 billion industry?
I think I read that someplace, and I could be wrong, but I feel like Jill Bolte Taylor said it in her podcast. So think about it. Think about how big meditation is right now. And it's all geared towards quieting that voice in your brain.
Yeah. And I do a 5-minute meditation every morning before getting out of bed. It's what helps me set my intentions and my emotions right for the day. You're absolutely right. And I think since we touched upon the way I mindset shift when I feel sick, I want to tap into that and ask you, what's one small but powerful shift that listeners this week can use to stop reacting to their emotions, but intentionally choose how to feel?
It's, I have a saying, thank you for everything. I have so much to be grateful for. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the flat tire. Thank you for the, cavity in my tooth. If I get a cavity in my tooth, that means I needed to hang out with the dentist. So when you really shift your mindset to know that every topic has two sides, we live in a polar universe. Everything has two. It's up, down, night, day. So black, white. So when I'm in sickness and I want to be healthy, it's like, okay, I could focus on feeling bad. And I learned this, Sonia, when I was, oh my gosh, in high school. I could remember waking up in high school and thinking, I don't think I want to go to school today. I think I'm going to fake sick. And, I would start to fake. And then by the end of the day, I was actually sick. Like, our brain is so powerful. But the opposite is true. I can also feel a little tickle in my throat and say, oh no, I'm healthy. My body, my immune system is amazing. So every subject is two subjects. When my dear, sweet, loving dad passed away 2 years ago, I just kept saying, God knows what he's doing. Nobody is meant to be here forever. I could be angry. I could still be sad and miss him, but every subject is two subjects. And if I'm fighting what's already done, I'm just making myself miserable versus accepting what has happened. and then focusing on the gift I had of him, the beautiful times we've had. And again, so even if you lose your job, this is something better. That's my mantra. That means there's something better for you and you will learn. And I've lost my job, back when I was younger, which I'm on a roll now. When I got downsized many years ago, that's how I found this career. So if that new VP did not come in, eliminate my role, I would never be sitting here with you today.
Rejection is redirection.
Yeah.
This is so funny, but my mom is the first person I think to that in any negative or sad moment that other people might spiral down with, she celebrates the moment because it's a opening for something new and one closed door opens another. For instance, in many different areas, whether it was my grandma passing away, whether it was her job that, she wanted to move away and go into a new company, it was always celebrating the life, celebrating the time that I had with my grandma, celebrating the moments that, she came home and told to me unhappily that she might have shared with coworkers that were matching her energy, because now she's at someplace that is on her level and maximizes them 10 times more. She's been my mentor really in
Oh, you're so
positivity
lucky.
and adapting. So it's just completely changed my life with those mindset shifts.
And now you're a mentor for so many people that are listening to your podcast. I love it.
Yeah, and I want to move into energy and ask you, how can you maximize it daily? How can you always channel it? What's the habit that you love doing in your own life?
So for me, energy, first of all, I've always had a lot of energy. And I think a lot of people, if you think about when you're a kid, I was always told, slow down, you talk too fast, you talk too loud, you talk too much, you're moving too fast. So we all have this energy, but a lot of us misplace it. When I have a lot of, we all have energy, but so many people are using their energy on worry, complaining, talking about what they don't want. So you realize if you picture 100% and you're spending 70% of your time complaining and you only have so much left. So when you stop complaining and you start focusing your energy on what you want, you start to manage your energy. And also, I had a lot of good energy, but I also had a lot of dark energy because when I got upset when I was young, I yelled, I screamed, I threw things. I was really out of control. And I had to learn to manage that also because I was destructive with my energy. So again, I always say emotions are just energy asking for direction. If you have a conflict, it's like, okay, I could fight or I could choose to resolve this, because conflict is just looking for direction and you always have choices. So managing your energy. And then once you're not using your energy on things that are depleting you, you have more left to do the stuff you love, right? And that's what's so exciting, because you're not mentally, physically, emotionally drained. You're constantly filling yourself up and then noticing, I get tired. I'm a morning person, but when I need a break or when I need to just take, sometimes after a podcast, I just go downstairs, I make a cup of tea and I chill.
Exactly. For a
Exactly.
podcast with a cup of tea so I can
Yeah.
calm down my nervousness.
Yeah.
And energy, I'm such a big fan of your work, and I'm so happy that we get to talk with each other today, because I think it's a conversation that is just as relevant today in 10 years' time, that I can re-listen and completely find myself again and pause, reflect, and journal again. So I want to ask you, with all the work that you do, how can that help the person flip that mindset? Whether if it's helping them channel a new job, become happier in their personal or professional life, how does your work impact others?
Yeah, my biggest thing with people is I want you to start small and I want you to make easy, small steps. It's the end of the year, so people tend to make all these promises on New Year's Eve that they're going to, eating, drinking, smoking, lose weight. Those are all the big ones. And then they fail. So what I want you to do is think of something so easy that you can't fail. I keep the easy button on my desk. We have an easy button from Staples that when you press it, it goes. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
It says that was easy. So start with something like, I'm going to eat apples for the next 90 days. Don't stop doing anything. Keep eating your cookies and drinking your soda, but eat apples. After 90 days, it becomes something you do automatically. And what's happening is every promise you make first with yourself. So when I make the promise to eat an apple every day and I do it, I'm telling myself, I got this. I'm my word. So if I say to you, Sonia, let's have lunch later, and I don't show up, I broke my promise with you, but I first broke it with me. So when you start to get confidence, I'm eating the apples. Now I'm going to do something every day for my spirituality, 2-minute prayer or meditation or whatever you want to do. And then you do that, again, you're gaining confidence. Now I'm going to read 2 pages make it so easy you can't fail. I will read 2 pages of a book 3 times a week. So you're gaining this confidence and you're building the proverbial snowball, which will give you the momentum towards the life you want. So my biggest thing for people is to start with something so easy. And this is how they used to train the whales in SeaWorld. There's a whole book written on this years ago. They don't have whales at SeaWorld anymore, but they used to put the rope in the water so low that the whale couldn't fail. And when the whale went over the rope, they would pat the whale and feed it fish. And then they would bring the rope up a little. And then they would get these giant ton animals to jump and leap and do these things by starting so small. Ken Blanchard wrote the book called Whale Done many years ago. But so the same thing, start small, gain confidence. I'm eating apples and I'm reading books and what else can I do? And then before you know it, you are so excited. Sonia, if you only do one thing every 90 days for the next 5 years, one thing, eat an apple for 90 days, read 2 pages for 90 days, call your mother for 90, whatever it is. In 5 years, you have 20 powerful positive habits. And habits require no energy. You do them without thinking.
Yeah. It's mesmerizing and incredible, really. I think, especially with what you've just told me now, links over across to the work of James Clear with Atomic Habits to set your environment up for success. And I think the greatest thing the listener can take away and implement into their life tomorrow, even, is if they've been wanting to write a book for so long, or if they've been wanting to start going to the gym or become more active, to embody that personality and that person. Instead of thinking that I'm writing a book, I am a writer. And you've mentioned this before, and I think I should repeat it because it's so powerful. If everyone has a lot of work to get done, whether it's schoolwork or a lot of to-do lists for your workplace, to just start decluttering your workspace, your desk, whatever it may be. You said that before, to just have a clear space of work, because that also helps organize your thoughts and your emotions. And I find that I'm a lot more agitated or stressed if I have a lot of papers and books piled up on my desk. Whereas when, just like now for a podcast, everything is clear and I can see the wood of the desk, it's so easy to know exactly what I want to ask you next. It makes me more calm and confident.
And stop saying you're busy. Everyone goes, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I'm like, stop. I started saying, how's it going, Michele? Life is full, fast, and fun. It's full, fast, and fun. That's my new saying. Life is full, fast, and fun. Because when I say I'm busy, I create busy. When I say I'm overwhelmed, I create overwhelm. And I don't want to be overwhelmed. The other quote I say is, busy women are boring. And I say that because it like punches me in the gut, because I want to be a purposeful woman, not a busy woman. It's very different.
That's a great way. And I want to use that to shift you over, Michele, to the world of personal power, especially for listeners that may feel stuck in their professional or personal lives. What would you say is that first step that they can take to start reconnecting with themselves, start feeling more empowered and confident, and wake up more energized in the morning?
There's so much out there. Listening to a podcast like yours, reading my book, or it could be anybody's book, books on tape, audible.com. I mean, there is so much knowledge and wisdom out there. And I always ask people to, talk to people who are successful. What book changed your life? What are you listening to? Don't just go willy-nilly, because there's a lot out. Everyone also claims they're an expert, and not everybody is. So get some quality. To me, books and podcasts are just like vitamins. It's nutrition. Yeah. And I could read someone's book or listen to a podcast, and like a vitamin, I get a boost of energy, or an aspirin. But after 4 hours, it wears off. I need another boost. So really just start small and start giving yourself quality nutrition I always say, what's your level of entertainment versus education? right? If you're all entertainment and no education and you wonder why you're stuck, well, there's a clue. So when you just educate yourself a little bit, it could be podcasts are the easiest thing, books on tape, buy my book, Energizes Your Happiness.
Yeah.
And really, every book, then pick one little thing. And again, don't try to overdo everything. Don't try to do everything at once. Go slow and steady. And when you fall off course, because this is what happens to people, they go really good for 3 months and then they stop. Oh, it wasn't meant to be. No, it was meant to be, but reality intrudes. So you lick your wounds, you sit on the couch for 3 days and you get up and you start again. That's what life is. Life is never this trajectory that's constantly going up. It's over and backwards. But that's okay when you know that's normal. I worked out when I was in my 20s. Oh my God, I started going to the gym for a full year before I saw any results. And I would tell myself, Michele, your brain is getting good, your heart's getting healthy. And then after a year and I saw muscle, all these years later, I'm like, I am not giving this up. This is good for me. But it took a good year of not seeing any results. So people have to really commit to the activity and the motion and trust. You have to be smarter. You know that you're doing your body good, even though you don't see the result right away.
And teenagers have that conception of you have to get the reward quick and you have to, they have that idea that they want to get to the peak of the mountain and not enjoy the climb up. And what I find, especially since it's scientifically easier for men to get muscle and to appear more lean, women in particular, when I started my own health journey going to the gym, I discovered that just deciding to see how my body feels after a workout rather than what it looks like helped me go back even more motivated and help me become more consistent and come back for a lot more time than I would have if I would have just looked at the physical body.
Shifted it, and that's what I want everyone to do. It's like, you don't need another book to tell you working out is good for you and to eat apples. We all know these things, but it's knowing that my mind is getting healthy, my heart is getting healthy, I feel better is enough to keep me coming. So I love that. Beautiful.
Michele, I'm really curious. What's one belief that you have about happiness that you wish you could rewrite for the next generation?
Happiness. Again, it's that being happy regardless of what's going on. And that's something I still have to remind myself, because when you look at the news or you look at the world and you go, oh my gosh, it's just not, there's just not some nice things going on. And happiness is that inside job. So when I know I can be, and it's okay. That's the thing. People think, oh, maybe, because when the world gets it together, we'll be happy. I'm like, oh, no. We have to get happy first. So the more content you can be with what you have, with where you are, knowing that you can always go for something else, but that satisfaction of I'm doing the best I can and it's okay where I am, and I could take a day off too. I don't always have to be producing or doing, it's about really just be happy regardless of what's going on outside.
You said you're a morning person, and I'm really curious to see if waking up earlier or creating that habit of waking up before the sun rises or before 7 a.m. really helped you in becoming more productive or more efficient in the work that you do.
I think so. There's something about the early morning hours that is a feeling. It's a magic. People might say the same thing about the late night hours, but I'm a morning person. I feel like you're just getting this like juicy part of the day that, other people aren't awake yet. And I drive to the gym at like 5 o'clock in the morning and I almost slipped on the ice. It's ice on my driveway. It's freezing here. But then I get this sense of satisfaction. And what I do on days where I don't have to be on, camera early, I'll just come home and it's like I love a cup of coffee. I take my journal, a book, and I read a little, I journal a little, I meditate. So all these little habits. And I could get lost in that for 2 hours. And I used to think, oh my gosh, am I wasting time in the morning? But I realized when I align myself like that in the morning, oh my gosh, the day is so much more powerful than if I, hit the snooze, jump out of bed, run to the office, be on rushing. So I work with leaders all over the world. And the biggest thing I find, the best leaders run from alignment, not adrenaline. So when you're in that connection, again, mind, heart, gut, when you're in alignment, you are like, a person standing on 2 feet really sturdily. When you're rushing and running and frenetic, you're almost like trying to get everything done on one leg and
Yeah.
you're just not powerful. So to me, those morning rituals are very grounding. In the summer, I do ground. I go outside barefoot and go to the garden. Not so much right now because there's snow on the ground.
Yeah.
But again, it's finding what rituals work for you and playing with them. You don't have to be my rituals. It's, what makes you, like you said, feel better.
Mm-hmm. I think this is the perfect time, Michelle, to move you into the SMARTA Podcast traditions. I've got a challenge for you up next. Are you ready?
I think so. Let's go.
So, as your book, Energize Your Happiness, launched this year, I really wanted to know if you can pitch the book in 60 seconds to the person listening right now, why should they read it?
Okay. I like this challenge. So most people think that happiness comes after achievement, but that's not it. Happiness is a habit that energizes everything you do. The book, Energize Your Happiness, teaches you to manage your energy, not just your time, so that you are running on alignment, not adrenaline. You are making better decisions and you feel more powerful. It is not about pretending that life is easy. It's not about faking it. It's about writing outcomes that you actually want to live. Because when you write outcomes about what you actually want and they come true, you realize you are the source of your happiness. So I think that 60 seconds, I don't know, but that in a nutshell, Energize Your Happiness will teach you to focus your energy and write the outcomes you want.
59 seconds, right under. Congratulations. And my second question to you is by far, I think, one of my favorite traditions where I ask the last guest to leave a question for the next one. And so in this case, Brianna Silver left over this question for you. What is one lesson that you learned in your younger years that you've tracked in your life as an adult?
Yeah, it took me, I probably didn't learn this to my fees, but it's to really be who you are. I was told so much in my youth to, slow down, stop being so exciting. Why are you so happy? I had a woman in my early 20s tell me to take my pom-poms and go someplace else. And I used to tap down my happiness and energy. And I really, in my 30s, learned to own it. And if you don't like it, I won't get in your space. I'm emotionally intelligent enough to not splash my happiness on you. But you then find all these other happy people that want to play with you. And that's when you really, truly let your happiness or your light shine.
Again, the only person I think of, when you're describing yourself is my mom. She has this childlike curiosity and energy around her that, she hangs out with other friends her age and they all tell her, be more serious. Why are you always so happy all the time? And it's like bringing your pom-poms to some other place. But actually, she's the most impactful whenever they meet.
Yeah.
She's like a ripple effect, spreading her positivity to everyone, which is why they keep on hanging out. I think, that made me just realize to embrace your uniqueness because it is inevitable to find your own circle of friends as you grow.
Yeah, I have to ask you a question. Has your mom been on your podcast?
No,
I think she should. And she said you sound very blessed. That's how she sounds wonderful.
Yeah, well, that's a thought for 2026.
Okay.
And my next question brings you back in time to when you were my age. So, Michelle, if you could go back to when you were 17, what's one piece of advice that you wish you could carry on through to present moment?
Yeah, just don't take anything so serious. I mean, if I look back at my journals when I was 17, you would think the sky was falling. And oh my gosh, I just laugh. And I've been keeping journals that long. And then you look back and you think, oh my God. And sometimes I look back, I don't even remember this, but I made so much out of everything. And to learn that everything is temporary and moving and shifting. And it's okay. You got it. You got this. That's what I would say. You got this.
And I'm so happy that you said that because it's often so easy to get lost in our fantasies of what's the worst thing that can happen and solely focus on that versus what's the best thing that could happen. Because 9 times out of 10, maybe I didn't turn in an assignment, for people in school at the right time. And I'm starting to get all nervous and sort of like crouch down and make myself small, thinking everything bad will happen to me next morning. And next morning comes and absolutely nothing happens. And the best outcome, don't worry, you can do it today for next day happens. And it's so funny how everything crumbles in that moment, but it builds up. So I think an easy way to shift that perspective is to pause and reflect whether it's past actions that have made you believe that or whether it's on your head. 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
it will be in your head.
And you probably always meet your deadline. So once in a blue moon, if you miss it, I always say, like when I get stressed, Michelle, you always meet your deadline. So why are you
Yeah.
making yourself nuts? Yeah. Perfect.
And the next question is all around the world of books. You've mentioned some as we went along, but I really am curious, Michelle, what would be your top 2 books that changed your life?
2 books I am a voracious reader. I read 30 books a year. So picking 2, what happens is I tend to, when I really like a book, I buy like tons of copies and I give it away as gifts. So the 2 books that are on my bookshelf right now are Og Mandino's The Greatest Miracle in the World. Everyone loves his Greatest Salesman in the World. I love The Greatest Miracle in the World. It is this tiny little book about how much you are a miracle. I literally keep it on my bed because every night when I move it off my bed, let me see if I can remember, the 4 things in the back are count your blessings, proclaim your rarity, go another mile, and do all things with love. So his words speak to me. I give it out. The other book that has touched me more recently is the book Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson, who is a beautiful woman that lives here on Long Island where I live, who is able to connect to the other side. And when my dad passed, and you read this book, it just opens these portals to something bigger than you, to receiving signs. My dad sends me anchors. And this morning I went on Vistaprint right before I got on your call, and I went to look and there was an anchor popped up, and that's my dad. And then another email came through this morning from another author I love. Oh, that's 3 books. Pam Grout, Thank and Grow Rich. And it was a Louis Armstrong song that my dad sang to me. So, okay, I just gave you 3 books. The Greatest Miracle in the World by Og Mandino, Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson, and Thank and Grow Rich by Pam Grout.
And I completely agree. I find myself seeing my grandma through, sometimes a weird pigeon could come in and do a little sign that takes me back to, a memory that we shared together. And it's really, really reassuring to flip the switch to actually it's celebrating the life, and they send you little signs, and I
Yeah.
always find it very easy to smile rather than shed a tear, because that's one way they would have liked me to live my life. And because I started the episode podcast with you talking directly with the person listening, I would like to do so in the same way. So, Michelle, if you can talk right now to the person that's got us in our headphones or running down the track, what would you say if about living a more happy or energized life to them?
Yeah. It's really from that slowing down. And I know in a world that's rushing, I'm asking you to do the opposite, slowing down and going internal. Whether, in the morning, I always say, right in the morning, I'd even write letters to my soul, or I have my soul write a letter to me in my journal. I say, dear soul, what do you want me to know today? And my soul always tells me something beautiful. So it's really, everyone listening, you have so much wisdom inside you. And to really tune into your own wisdom and listen to your gut. I always think like that's where your body and your soul meet. And the more you listen to your own guidance, the better and the happier you'll be.
I love it. Michele Phillips, thank you so much for being on the SMARTA Podcast. Best of luck with everything you've got coming in the future.
Thank you for having me, Sonia. This was delightful.
That was Michele Phillips. If you're ready to step into 2026 smarter, be better, then all that's left is doing the tricks. Knowing how to regulate your emotions, starting journaling is the easiest way you can set yourself up for success. And something that really helped me when this time comes at the end of the year, that's helped me become more intentional and see more success in both my professional and personal life, is stopping whatever I'm doing, pausing, reflecting, and just turning everything into paper to see, is the way I'm spending my life, my routines, my habits, are they counting to the person that I want to become? That's one thing you can pause and reflect that can drastically help you achieve your goals for 2026. So if you've made it this far into the episode, I wanted to personally congratulate you for choosing to listen to something that can fuel your soul and charge it with positivity and clarity to know exactly what steps you need to be taking in order to make 2026 your year. So just do me a huge favor and double check that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, follow the show, rate this podcast episode 5 stars, and I guarantee you I'll keep coming back with more Monday motivation with greater speakers. And by joining me on my journey, you're becoming smarter and turning into the person you would like to become that you always have been. I'm Sonia Marta. This has been the SMARTA Podcast, and happy holidays. Let's welcome 2026 with this energy. I can't wait to see you here next year, more refreshed, more motivated, and disciplined to take the actions and habits that you need to become and embody the person that's living your dream life.